All right, this segment we're going to talk about the glossary of terms for our defense. I talked about the glossary earlier on in some of the talks, but I'm going to give you some of the words we use in general as a defense by position, tackling, just different phrases we're going to use, just to give you some ideas for your own program, how you want to kind of break it down. Obviously, you're going to use your own words and maybe have some different subsets than we do, but I just want to show you some of the stuff that we use here, okay? Communication is vital to any organization. We talked about communication earlier and how important that is to get information not only to our coaches as a group, but also to our players on the field, because they're the ones that have to make the plays and do the stuff in the game, obviously. We must be able to communicate with each other, okay? And that comes from a process of using the same language and being, same verbiage. I think that's very important that we're doing that as a program, and that's what the glossary is going to do, is going to lay out how we're going to call certain fronts or movements, the phrases we're going to use to make them across the board the same. It helps our kids. That same verbiage really helps the guys coming into the program, the new guys. And also what happens then is our older guys, since they've been here 2-3 years, they also know the language. So they'll be using that same language when they talk. It's kind of cool when you have a kid who talks to the press, or you hear him talking to other kids in the team, and he's using your words, right, from your program and what your coaches are saying. That means they've actually bought into what you're doing and they understand it. And that also makes us a better program and a better organization. If any organization that is using the same language and the same words is going to have success over somebody that's not. Okay? Okay, why do we have a glossary? Everyone at every level is using the same words. Okay, so if we had a 5th grade program all the way up, I would want everybody in 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th grade to have the same language we're using in 9th through 12th grade. All right, if you have a feeder program should be using the same language if they're open to it. I know that, there's a lot of programs that may not have a middle school football team, but they have feeder elementary schools and middle schools with football teams. They would have all of our stuff. That way they may not run exactly the same offense and defense, but they still are using some of those same catchphrases and words. So when they get to the high school, it's not new to them. They've already known that and already been doing that as far as that goes, okay? Keeps everybody on the same page. This is very important. We want everybody to understand if we say a lot to you, you know what that means. It's not like everybody's like, what's that mean? Or, well, coach calls it a spike. We're all calling it the same thing. It's not going to be any different, okay? All right, so let's get going. The first one we're going to talk about is defensive words in general. These are things you're going to hear me say throughout these talks. So I kind of want to share them with you. In case you didn't know what they meant, you can refer back to this page. You might want to take a picture of this page and save it. This is something that we'll come back to many times, all right? MLOS, end man on the line of scrimmage. So for our Sam Jack, our ends and tackles, our safeties, even our will sometimes, we're going to read that MLOS, the end man on the line of scrimmage. That's the end man connected to the line of scrimmage, not the wide receiver or a slot or a split end, anything out there. It's going to be either an H-back or a tight end. It could be the tackle, right? We have 2-man and 3-man surfaces, which we'll talk about, but that's going to be the MLOS read. That gets back to where our eyes are, who's our key. PCR. This is really important for guys that are on the back side of the play. It's going to be a 2nd or 3rd level defender, okay, where he's going to be a boot counter reverse player. That means the play is going away from me. I'm playing curl flat or I'm a skiff dropper, right? And the play goes away from me. So now I don't want to run over there. I got to check some things first. I become a backside linebacker, so I'm going to check for boot, counter, reverse, which leads into being a cutback player, okay? So the play goes away from me. If I'm the cutback player, that means the ball cuts back, I'm the backside guy to make that tackle, all right? Hard joint. So we have hard joint and spill together here. The reason for that is hard joint, I'm an edge player, and here comes a guard at me or a running back at me. How am I taking that block on? Am I going to force it back inside and keep my outside arm and leg free? That's what we call a hard joint block, hard joint attack, okay? If I'm going to spill it, I'm going to wrong arm that block with the wrong arm, as they say, right? Get nice and low, run through his hip, and force that ball to bounce outside of me to a defender over the top. Okay, so we have hard joint where I force it back inside, keep my outside arm and leg free with the ball being inside of me, where I have a spill where I'm going to actually wrong arm, spill that blocker, and force the ball to bounce outside. Okay, hi-hat. Anytime an offensive lineman stands up on the snap and looks like he's showing pass, as soon as I see hi-hat, that's a clue for me. They can still run screen or draw. We know that, but that's what hi-hat is, in case you didn't know. Direction of the call. Okay, that's how we determine what Sam calls the strength, the direction of the call. So he's going to make a right or left call before every snap. Once the offense gets lined up in their formation, that right or left call is based on direction. Okay, it could be field, it could be to the tight end, it could be to the split end. We've even had years we call it the short side of the field. So that's the direction of the call. That's what that means. If you hear us talk about direction of call. BC, we're going to say that sometimes. That just means ball carrier. It's short for ball carrier. We'll say BC a lot, trying to shorten things, especially on some of our pages and our playbooks. So all the kids know that BC stands for ball carrier. And the last one is hug them up. So if I'm playing man-to-man on a running back in the backfield, anybody in the backfield, and he blocks on a pass, hug him up for us means I'm going to go get that guy right now. I'm going to go run to him, and if he's not blocking anybody, I'm going to cover him. As I'm attacking my guy, if he blocks somebody else, I will still check. And when I get to him, if he's still blocking that guy, I'll go hit the quarterback. All right, that's hug him up. You know, the other option you have is to have your guy, if I have the running back and he blocks, it's a pass, I can just kind of zone off and look for help, look to help other guys, look for crossers. We like to go hug that guy up because of screen. All right, defensive calls. These are things we use in our defense. We're going to be using these words. I want to share them with you. Okay, Okie, obviously that's our base front for the 3-4. So that's what we call the front in our base D. We just call it Okie. All right, we're going to get a zero nose. The tackle and ends are going to be either in 4s, 4 eyes, or 5s. Okay, and we're going to be a balanced look on defense. Okay, talk about direction of call already. That's something that always goes in our defensive call book. Stakeout. That's what we call that outside linebacker position in the hips. That means he's not on the tight end. He's kind of off the line of scrimmage. He's either 3x3 or 4x4 from the end man line of scrimmage, or he's apex between the tackle and the number 2 receiver who's a slot, right? But that's call it stakeout. Our coach always says, just like a cop, what's a cop doing a stakeout? He hangs out, sees what's going on, and wait to see what you're going to do. How you going to catch the bad guys, right? So stakeout, that's what that means. That's for the outside backer. Riz is our base call for our defense. That allows for us to make a rip or Liz check at the line of scrimmage, and that's going to be based on game plan. Whether we're going to call it to the back, we can do it to the tight end, away from the tight end, we can do it to the field, to the short side of the field. It could be in-game adjustment based on whether running the football or going with the ball. So that gives us the ability, though, to move our front either way to be advantageous for us, okay? Rotation, you're going to hear me use that when I talk about our safeties. They're going to work in unison. Okay, it gets back to communication as well. They got to communicate on who's rotating and where. In the ball disruption video, you're going to see the play where we had both our safeties come down. One blitzed and one didn't, right? But there's nobody in the middle of the field. So we got to make sure our rotation is set up correctly for playing cover 3 or man free. All right, blitzing terminology. So we like to blitz. Everybody in our defense has a blitz at some point, either first, second, or third level. So I just want to make sure when I say second level, you know what that means. Second level means a guy who's coming from a linebacker depth, right? Or a linebacker position. That's a second level blitzer. Third level blitzers are going to be our secondary guys, corners or safeties. If we have a safety starting in too high and timing up a blitz, okay, that's a third level blitz. If we're running, a corner blitz, that's a third level blitz, okay? Edge blitzer, any D-gap rusher off the edge. Okay, any guys coming off the edge, it could be the corner on, the corner blitz, a safety, outside backer. It could be an inside backer lined up out there. That's an edge rusher for us, okay? He's coming off the edge. Show blitz means we're not going to disguise it. I want that mic, if we're running a show and the mic splits in the A-gap, we want them to line up in the A-gap, right? Pre-snap. Line up right at the heels of the D lineman. Here's the D lineman's heel. Here's my foot. I'm right behind him, and I'm ready to go on the snap. Okay, we are showing it. We're not gonna come from depth. We're gonna show the blitz. Okay, cheat up. It means I'm gonna cheat a little bit closer before the snap. So it's not a show, not lining up there, but right before the snap, I'm gonna cheat right before the snap and then come. All right, that's a cheat up. And then coming from space, that means come from your normal alignment. So we may use those words with our blitzing terminology. I just wanted to share that with you. Now, also, there's a whole other segment we're gonna do about blitz tracks and blitzing that we'll talk a lot more about these little in much more detail. All right, tackling. Words we use for tackling. Okay, angle tackle, make a tackle from the side of the back. I think that's one of the most important tackling lessons you do with your kids. You can get really close together and you can go full speed. When it comes to tackling, my thing's always been the closer you get, you can go full speed. The further away you get, you got to slow down, right? We don't need 10-yard collisions in practice. They don't happen in the game that much anyways, and we don't want to do that more than we have to for our kids, for their own safety and their own health, right? If it happens in a game, it happens in a game. But in practice, we're going to do angle tackle a lot because we can get really close together, a yard apart. We can go full speed. We can stay on our feet, okay? But it teaches all the skills we need. Teaches us hit on the rise, teaches us to rip our arms up and grab cloth, secure the tackle, teaches us to accelerate our feet on contact, to step on his toes, and to run that guy back. All those things it teaches us from that one little drill. Gator tackle, I mean, you probably all know about that, but that's going to be tackling like a wrestler, like a takedown type tackle of the knees, pulling the knees together. Strip sack, okay. When we get a sack on the quarterback, we want to work on securing the tackle, but the other hand is going for the ball, knocking that ball out of the quarterback's hand. Okay, big play. Vice tackle, we do a vice tackle drill a lot of times with our circuits. That's when you have two guys, you have one running back, and you have two guys converging, right, to make that vice tackle. Okay, they're each going to keep their leverage and force the BC back to the other guy, and then we're going to make the tackle. Okay, first guy secures the tackle, second guy strips the ball. Okay, run the alley. Okay, that means inside out pursuit. So for our safety in the middle of the field, if we're in man free or cover three, his pursuit out is going to be alley. He's going to run inside out to the football. He can do that because there's somebody who has force. Somebody's forcing the ball back inside. Okay, that's a big part of the system and the defense. Okay, eyes of the sky just reminds our kids keep their eyes up, their head up when they tackle. Okay. Obviously, two reasons. One, if your eyes are down, you're probably going to miss the tackle. And number two, you're going to hurt yourself up by your neck with your head down. Uppercuts. We talk about uppercuts with our arms. So when you tackle, we want our guys to uppercut when they tackle. All right, when they're standing up, they want to uppercut. And it also protects them. If they tackle like this, like you're hugging your mom and your grandma, now you expose this part. Have you ever got a helmet there? You know how much that hurts. All right, so we don't want to tackle like we're hugging. We want to tackle with uppercuts. Okay. And pop, that means roll your hips, pop your hips. So on a block or a tackle, it's all the same. Your feet are the same, your posture's the same. Everything's the same on blocking and tackling. The difference is, are you blocking or are you making a tackle, right? But at the end of the day, it's about your hips and how you finish that by bringing your hips. All right, keep going here. All right, defensive words, offensive terminology. So these are some things we'll use just so you understand what I'm saying during the talks. So fib, formation strength isn't towards the boundary. So formation into the boundary. They put the balls on the hash and they put trips into the boundary. We call that fib. Our kids all know what that means. It may cause a check for our defense. I think it's important, again, language-wise, it's in your glossary, whatever you're going to call that. The personnel, number of backs and the number of tight ends. Talked about it earlier, 21 personnel, 10 personnel. That's important to us as we communicate as coaches and with our players what the personnel group is, okay? Three-man surface, any three-man surface. That could be guard, tackle, tight end. It could be guard, tackle, tackle, right? Any three-man surface, three guys past the center. Okay, we're going to call that three-man surface. That's going to be important for our Sams and Jacks sometimes as far as what their alignment is and what we're going to call our strength call, okay? Two-man surface, any two-man surface. So any two guys past the center, right? So that could be guard and tackle, which is normal. It could be guard and tight end. Okay, that's a two-man surface for us. Tackle over, when the offense brings the tackle over to the other side. Okay, pretty self-explanatory. Quarterback strength is going to be the arm that he uses, right or left. So if we get a balanced formation with the ball in the middle of the field, if they're 12 personnel, ace, 2x2, ball's in the middle of the field, what we're going to call the strength. Okay, we're probably going to call the strength to the quarterback's arm. So if he's right-handed, we make a strong left call. All right. Dead end is going to be anytime we have a no split end, there's nobody outside of the three-man surface there, right? Or the two-man surface. There's no one outside of the tight end or tackle. That's a dead end for us, and that alerts our secondary. And our corner should be the first one to see that. As the corner comes out, there's no receiver. He should be the first guy to realize, okay, we got a dead end. That's going to change our coverage. For us, just so you know, gun is anytime the quarterback is not under center, okay? And pistol means the running back is behind the quarterback. I know some guys call pistol the quarterback's 3 yards from the center, and then shotgun is the quarterback's at 5. For us, anytime you're not under center, it's shotgun. Okay, we're going to call that gun. Okay, and pistol means that the quarterback is in the gun, and the running back's directly behind him. Okay. All right, now do a few position words. Okay, so defensive line. These are some things we use for our defensive line. You're going to hear me use a lot during these talks, especially when we're watching some film. Okay, chase. That means if I'm a defensive lineman and the ball is going away from me, I'm going to chase flat down the line. The word we use is chase. So as soon as I react, I see the ball going away from me, I'm immediately going to get flat with my hips, and I'm going to run and chase the ball at the heel line of the offensive line. We don't want any fish hooks. We have a lot of kids like to fish down here. We have a lot of water. It's great, but we don't want to see fish hooks on the field, right? We want to see direct lines. Okay, hard joint, talked about that already. Okay, that's when I'm going to force the ball back inside and spill where I'm a wrong arm. A lat for us is a lateral lead. Okay, that's a movement of one gap, right or left. So if I'm lined up in a zero and I'm latting to the A gap on the nose, I'm stepping one step, getting vertical, that's a lat for us, lateral lead. A long stick is when we're going to go two gaps. So there's times where our D ends and our D tackles will have to go from either a 4-4-I or 5 technique, which is almost C gap, to the A gap on that long stick. A little bit different technique than a lat, but I have to get to that A gap, 2 gaps away. That's a long stick. 2 gap is anytime we ask one of our D linemen to line up, head up on an offensive guy and play both gaps. The only guy we do that with normally is going to be the nose guard in the center. Okay? Random, that's going to be a pre-snap movement by our D line. So if we say random to our D line, they know that they're going to be moving before the snap. It's predetermined how they're going to do that. We kind of coach them up. And then again, that's up to your program and your system. That's the word we use for that. And then a move call would be the Mike making a call. We're going to line up in maybe an over front and then move to Okie. Or line up in an Okie front and move to bear. So the offense will come out, we'll get set, we'll line up in bear. Okay? And the Mike will say move. And everybody will move to the other front. That's what a move call is. All right, linebackers. So for our linebackers, one of the big ones for our guys is cloudy clear. You know, obviously we have our key reads and we're seeing our guard, seeing the triangle, but sometimes it's going to get all messed up. Sometimes people be in the wrong gaps. Sometimes the offense might mess up, right? It's just a blur. So we talk about cloudy clear principle. I'm going to work to that open window. I'm the A gap player, it's cloudy. I go to the B gap, it's cloudy. I go to C gap, it's open, I hit the C gap. Okay, cloudy clear principle on play at me. Shuffle scrape. Anytime you're the backside of a play, that talks about shuffling, staying behind the football. So if it cuts back, I'm in a good position. Shuffle scrape for our linebackers. Red C read, just like it sounds. When I'm the linebacker and that gap just opens up. Maybe the guard blocks down, the tackle blocks out. I got a huge gap. It's like the Red Sea just parted. I need to get up in there, okay, and bring my feet. See the blur? So that's for our linebackers. Okay, and I'm playing linebacker, especially when I'm in man-to-man. I'm not really reading my guard anymore, okay? Or if the tackle pulls, okay, one of those two situations, I see a blur of the opposite color going the other way. That tells me the ball is probably going that way. Guys don't pull for no reason usually, okay? There aren't a lot of dummy pulls. So if I see the blur, that's what that means. I'm seeing the opposite color going the opposite way of where the flow is from the backfield. Skiff for us, seam curl influence the flat. That's for our outside backers and our curl flat droppers. That's our rule as far as how we're going to read the keys and then react on the pass. We're going to wall the seam, then play the curl, and we'll go to the flat on the pass. That's a skiff drop. Pull is something one of our linebackers will say. Anytime the guard crosses the center's face, so the guard pulls across the center, I'm going to make a pull call to my buddy. That'll help him out with counter, power, any kind of gap scheme where he's going to get blocked down on by a tackle or a tight end. He now knows it's coming, right? To be ready to get ear hold. Apex is for our outside linebackers. We're splitting the difference between the offensive tackle and number 2 receiver. Can we call that an apex alignment? And then we talked about take a picture as well as stakeout earlier. Okay, they're kind of in the same ballpark for our outside backers. But that's about seeing what's going on. Don't be in a hurry to run out of there. Okay? Defensive backwards. All right, so our technique for our secondary when they're a deep player, okay, any deep zone or mod, which means man on deep, is I'm going to slowly walk on the snap. By my 3rd step, I should know what the play is, whether it's pass or run. If I'm not sure, I better pedal and get deep, okay, or turn to my zone, whatever that might be if we're in zone. But we're going to call that a walk technique. Mod means man on deep. So that means I'm in zone, but I only have one receiver on my side, so I'm just going to make sure I don't get beat deep, all right? It's cover 3 on the corner. I only have one receiver. I'm going to walk on the snap. I have mod technique now. Stay over top of that guy, but basically I'm playing him man-to-man. Okay? Bunch, any combination of 3 eligible receivers in the same area. So if I have 3 guys together, we're going to call that bunch, just universally, so we all are on the same page. Talked about that. Touchdown saver, that's our backside corner. So any play I'm the corner away from the play, I got to be on my horse on an angle to knock that play down, that run it BC down before he scores. We're going to force them to line up again. Okay, and that's about effort and understanding of ball awareness. You'll hear us talk about leverage. So if we talk about dog leverage, it means if we're in man, we want the guy to be outside leverage of the receiver. So if the ball is to my right, inside of me, I'm going to be on the outside shoulder of the receiver who's here. If it's cat, then I'm going to be inside leverage of the receiver. So dog and cat. Dog is outside, cat is inside. Outside to inside. So I'll talk about this a lot just to reiterate to you guys and also to our players so they don't get it screwed up, especially our young players, is how we count receivers. It's always outside to inside. 1, 2, 3. Okay? So we keep that universal.